My name's Kari Black Elk. My Lakota name is Manitu Ishnala. That means lone wolf in Lakota. I got this name when I was 18 years old from the spirits from my grandpa, Dave Swallow, Wota Omani. His name's, that translates into walks with pride. But with my Lakota name, Lone Wolf, it goes into a lot of things of who I am today and what made me who I am and how I lived my past as a child. And it's pretty interesting how I'm living with this Lakota name. So I'm gonna take it back from, first of all, I grew up, I was raised by a single mother, named Jennifer Black Elk. Lokopo Jotawi is her Lakota name, which translates into medicine woman. And so my mother raised me in these Lakota ways, but also I grew up in the struggles, living in the city, but I still became rich in my Lakota culture because I always hung out with Grandpa Wallace, I always listened to him, and I was just, everything that he taught me, I soaked up because he was the closest thing as I had to a father growing up because I didn't have a father growing up and I didn't have any role models. So when I go visit the old man, I always had to work around the house as a child. And, and a lot of Lakota words that he spoke to me, I haven't been around old Lakota for a while. And, a lot of the old Lakota speakers are not really influencing our generation to speak it. And then they turn around and get after us and make fun of us or they tell us to learn on our own. But Grandpa Wallace didn't have no judgment in his heart, and he had more of a heart of keeping the ways alive, and I think that's what's going to make our ways carry on. But so I always was around the old man, and so I grew up around sun dances, homblecha camps, ceremonies. There's some ceremonies I can't say that I've seen in broad daylight, and I wish the world could see my point of view of seeing the real power of Kunkashila and the magic that comes with it. I've seen miracles that you can't even think of or imagine. And so I grew up like this in the city in Denver, and I grew up going just ceremony after ceremony and just being heavily influenced by the old man and stay up late with him during his cancer and his ending days. And there was just so much information that he was telling me, it was hard to grasp, and I'm slowly digesting it as an adult. I mean, we could talk about from psychology to quantum physics, and the quantum physics is really big with Grandpa, and and he taught me some stuff that's even hard for me to translate. And I have to sit down with one of my friends. She actually has a degree inside of quantum mechanics, and I have to translate the teachings from Lakota spirituality into technical terms. Because there's so much stuff that the old man taught me. But then after when he passed away, I went down a dark route. And then my mom, she we ended up in a car wreck. We ended up in a car accident going on to a wedding in Greeley, Colorado from Denver. So that's like about an hour away from Denver off of the highway. And we had a blowout and we flipped over and my mom got ejected. And she was supposed to die within, I think, anywhere from 24 to 40 hours. And I was 15 years old dealing with this. And so I didn't, this happened on April 30th in 2005. And I didn't, and at that time when you're 15 and there was just a lot going on for me. And one of them was not losing my mother and praying for her, going to ceremonies. And I just prayed day in and day out through Grandpa Dave Swallow. And this is where my story begins of how I earned my Lakota name, Lone Wolf. I wear that with pride, because the amount of tears I poured carrying that name is a lot. And the things I had to overcome with that Lakota name. So when my mom ended up in the hospital, they pushed her death. They're like, we can't stop the internal bleeding. Went from 24 to 48 hours to, oh, she has 4 days to live. Or she still had, it's just a matter of days now. And days turn into weeks. And then after that, my mom, she was going to live. And it's kind of hard because I had to look at my mom in ICCU during Mother's Day. And well, I had all this stuff going on. I had my own family slipping into darkness around me. I'm no stranger when it comes to drug addictions. I saw all my loved ones crashing on methamphetamine and alcohol. And while I'm still staying sober, while everyone's just going in the pit of darkness, I fell in that pit of darkness, and I started hanging out with the bad group, and it took me a while to get rid of this mentality. For being who I am. There's some things a lot I'm not proud of where, I did rob cars, I did hustle buds. I thought, everyone tell you that when I was too young to work, so I ended up stealing food from the grocery stores because I was too young to go to the food pantry. I was too young to go to the church. I was too young to sign up for food stamps. But everywhere around me is all fucked up off of meth, pills, alcohol. And I just grew up around in a gang infested neighborhood. And, I lost friends friends committed suicide. I had, and to me, I grew up like that since I was a kid from the reservation. And so I still went up on Homblecho, even though my mom was in the hospital, 15 years old. It took a lot of strength to keep going on this red road when you don't have role models anymore. So the man I used to look up to like a father has passed on. He died when I was 14. And so all I have is myself and the chanupa. And for those that don't know what a chanupa is, they call it a pipe, but don't ever call it a pipe. The pipe, that's disrespectful terms to call it a pipe. Just call it a chanupa, because this chanupa is what guided me through my hardships and my biggest thing was to forgiveness. Before I could forgive others, I must forgive myself. And so when I started learning about my Lakota more and more, my ways, you know, I survived a lot of stuff from stealing food, breaking into cars. You look at my arms, I have my scars will tell you. And, I got cut marks and self-mutilation. I got marks from fighting. I got marks from almost getting stabbed. I have marks from gangs and my scars will tell a story to you of what I survived. So, I still went up on Humblecha and I made it for 4 days. And at that time, what I was going through, I'd rather die up there on the hill at Bear Butte than to die in the streets. So that's why I stood up there for 4 days. But during those 4 days, I received a white humble. And it has to do with what's happening today. And I'm gonna go ahead and share my humble because I feel like people need to hear it. My white humble is a vision. I wasn't asleep. I was going through a lot of stuff. I was thinking about my mom in the hospital. And that was the first time not having my mom at Humblecha. I've been going up on the hill since I was 13 years old. My mom will get me ready. She'll make my spirit food. She would make sure I have my star quit. She'll make sure that the people bring me a pajuta. She'll make sure that I have enough blankets to stay warm. It's hard. That year, I didn't have a mother or a father. So I went up on the hill and I was crying. And then that's when I heard the owls hooting in the back. They were hooting. And when I heard him, when one flew, and I felt That was a grandma owl. And another one flew with a deeper voice, and it was a grandpa owl. And another one flew above my head. Each time they hooed, it made me cry because I knew I was with grandma and grandpa. So I started crying, and I felt Grandpa Wallace. I felt him on the hill. I felt the smell, the warm, as if when you're in a house. And when you're in Grandpa Wallace Black Elk's house, you're so calm, and there's a certain smell that that he has in his house that makes you want to sleep. Like you're at peace. Nothing in the world can hurt you. So when I'm at Grandpa Wallace's, I always fall asleep. And so I felt Grandpa Wallace, and I felt this love. And I was crying and crying. I was praying for my mom, I was praying for my sister, because everyone around me was on meth and drinking. And then here I looked up, and when I saw the moon, she was crying. And I looked up at the moon, but it was a red tear slowly coming down from, there was a face on her. So when when I saw her crying, a tear looked like lightning when she started crying more, but it was blood red. And I looked up, and the slowly at the bottom of the moon was filling up blood red. And I saw it half going, and I was just like, is this really going on? And those owls were still hooting. They were getting louder. And so I looked up, and she went completely blood red. And I looked at everything around me. Everything around me was blood red. The chanupa I was holding, the altar I was in, the rocks. Even the glare from Sturgis was blood red, like a blood mist, red. And it really did look like blood. It looked like there was blood on my skin, on my sunhat skirt, on my ribbon shirt, everywhere. It's blood red. And then here, something showed me something, and it scared me, and I screamed. And the owls flew off towards the west. And I stood up there, and I didn't really want to come back down from Oblecha, from the Vision Quest. I didn't want to come back down, because when I come back down, I'm just gonna go back into a world of meth and violence and struggling in the city. And when I came back down and told them Grandpa Dave, this happened. So God didn't interpret. And then when they came and spoke, the Tunkashlas, one Bleak came in, Spotted Eagle, and Tashina Luta, and some other ones. They came in and said what you had was that the moon was showing you something. That's what's going on in the world. So remind you, this is in 2005. And so your grandma Moon was crying for her sister and all the women on the world that walk on her because of what man is doing, not only just to the women and murdering them and raping them, but we're also murdering and raping our own grandmother, the Mother Earth. How man treats Earth is how man treats women. You go outside, look what they're doing to the land. So I didn't know what to do with that for a while. I went back into my crazy self. A few years later, passed by, I didn't know what to do, forgot about it. Started going through my own turmoils. And here, a few years later, so people asked me to be a Sundance leader. I said no. I denied it. Because at that time I was just too busy being just playing this character that I learned from my environment And then got asked again from a different sentence. We need your help. Can you be a leader? I said, no. Third time they asked me, Kari, can you help us with the people? I need you as a leader. I said, no. And then they asked me, they were like, how come you're denying um, being a Sundance helper leader? I was like, on honesty, fool, I chose life. And I was like, I can't lead the people. I can't. If you make me a leader, man, I'm gonna lead people straight to the liquor store. So, it's just, like, so I chose life over playing something I'm not. I was like, that makes you a fake. Like you're fake as hell. And in the streets, being fake, no one ain't gonna deal with you. No one ain't gonna, basically, like, they don't want to do anything with you because we don't deal with fake people because they're more likely to snitch on you, turn your back. And so you have to be real, even when the truth is ugly and hurts. You got to be real. And I feel like I've seen so many fake leaders with drug addictions, playing spiritual men and playing chief. I'm like, man, I was like, I look at these fools and I look at leaders and they smoke buds and marijuana. And I was like, yeah, I used to do that too. Like, and but I did that in time and place away from ceremony. I go, you may outdog me because I used to do coke and mess with pills and but at least I was doing it with my homies and I was being honest with fools like, hey man, I can't help you. Right now I'm a little messed up. I'm eating tacos and drinking a 40 ounce and cruising on Federal Boulevard. Federal Boulevard is a big boulevard from north to south where a lot of us just go cruising. You see low riders. It's my favorite place to hang out back then, and still is. But I just like it for the tacos because, side note, like Federal Boulevard has more taco trucks than McDonald's. So, so that's my favorite place. But, anyways, but I was being honest with people. Like, they didn't like it. Um, they didn't like that. Like, you're supposed to be your grandfather's protege. I go, no, I'm not. I'm me. I'm me. I am nobody. I'm no one. I'm no one when it comes to the spirits. I'm just your average nobody. But if you want to play leader and chief, make sure you heal those wounds. Because if your enemy comes and attacks you, they look at your addiction of marijuana or pills. They're gonna use that against you. They're gonna manipulate your mind. And to be a Lakota warrior, I learned this at a young age, was to control your mind, control your emotions. When you can control your mind and your emotions, you're in control of your future. And you gotta fully love yourself. You gotta have your mind and your heart and your spirit. I I was just telling the brother this morning, man, he's going through some stuff. I love all my warriors. I love them, man. They really are my brothers. I was telling him, I was like, you gotta stop thinking with us thinking. You gotta stop thinking with your mind. And because your mind is just there to tell you when it's cold, to tell you when to eat, to tell you that this is gonna hurt, to tell you, hey fool, you need a shower. You know, your mind's just there to help take care of yourself and to think what to build memory, to hold memories. I was like, you gotta control your mind. Just quit overthinking. Shut that monkey in the back of your head. Silence that fool. Silence that monkey. Because that fool is gonna tell you so many lies, and it sounds believable, but you gotta shut that fool up. And when you control your mind and you open your heart, and the world's gonna be your oyster. So your mind is all of people's prison, and that's the reality. Is people's thoughts the reality? We're stuck in their minds. But I was like, so stop letting your mind be the master of your reality and let your heart be the master of this reality. And so this is where it goes back to addictions. When I look at foods, I was like, you're chasing after dopamine. You look at Facebook, you're addicted to social media. You're addicted to text messaging. You're addicted to relationships. I go, this type of sickness, you gotta attack it. The Washichus are still down here. They're at a low level when it comes to addictions because they don't know how to let go of materialistic, and that's what makes them weak. That's what makes Washichus weak. When I say Washichus, I'm not talking about white people. I'm talking about actual greedy people because I have Washichus in my own family. There's this old warrior. Now I call him a Washichu because he's exploiting our Lakota ways. You know, I call him a Washichu. You got a gambling problem? That's funny because it's actually worse than having an alcohol problem because you're exploiting our ways and our people, and you're spiritually abusing our people by using them for money. So you're a Washichu, you know? Call him a Washichu all day. He didn't like it, but you know, he wants to call me Hochshila, a little boy. I'm gonna call him a Washichu. I don't look at him as Lakota anymore. To me, he's just a fat taker, greedy bastard that needs to quit playing around with the Chanupa. So you know, he tried to belittle me, and I just called him out, everything on his truth. You know, I know a lot of my enemies are gonna listen to this, but they're not worthy enough for me to call them my enemy. That's a different story I'll get into in a little bit about what is an enemy. That's another part of my Lakota name, Lone Wolf. But anyways, so I see these spiritual people abusing everyone. Spiritual abuse is real. Spiritual manipulation is real. You know, we gotta be emotionally intelligent. We gotta be spiritually intelligent and quit being so naive. Once the world wakes up from being spiritually naive, they're going to look at their own leaders, the speakers of the Creator, in a different way. And to make these people spiritually intelligent, they first must become emotionally intelligent. They must know their own. You know, it's funny because that goes back into also Lakota philosophy. You know, once you actually learn to love that enemy, loving that dark side and your mistakes is what create you who you are. And you know, so the mistakes that I made in life is what made me who I am. And I made a lot of mistakes. You know, I've been in and out of jail. I've been locked up. You know, it's funny because when I was locked up in jail, I feel people's more prayers being sincere than I do being out in ceremonies. You know, sweat lodges now feel like a church. You know, I go to them and it's like purity ceremonies feel like a church. You know, I respect purity ceremonies in Mexico when I went down there. It's beautiful, so beautiful down there. Just the ceremonies. And up here, and everyone treats it like church. I see everyone dressing nice. They don't cuss, you know, it's like church. And you know, it's all like, you know, the real people that need help is in the dark places, not people that are trying to that already walk on it. You know, and I tell the bros that have a lot of guilt, like, man, you gotta let go of that guilt and forgive yourself. So when you learn how to forgive yourself, then you can forgive your enemies. Because if you have anger or hatred towards someone, that person controls your mind. And you're not allowed to let anyone up here. And that's where it comes to being a warrior. And so when you have anger towards someone, we call it aichi bleza. Aichi bleza means to look in your own reflection and see what you don't like in yourself into that person. So, you know, I say that to him, you know, aichi bleza. So color, look at yourself, forgive those that you have anger towards. Because if someone controls your thoughts and your anger, they're your masters. So take back your power first off by forgiving yourself and then forgiving them. Because in this world, you know, we need more kindness. Now I learned this one from Thunder Being Spirit. Came and talked to me, and I thought I was a tough guy because You go around when you're locked up, you go and jam up child molesters, like up in county and stuff. And it's just like it's a mandatory. You hear someone, you go and jam, like, hey, what's up, fool? Like you break the brakes in, or you make them go check in. Check in means like they're gonna go and tell the CEO, like, hey, I feel suicidal, and they go get sent to a different pod, and they get watched in a suicide cell, and they're on 24-hour or 23-hour lockdown with 1 hour out, and they're always being watched. So that's what we call checking in foods, and I thought it was bad because, I checked in a lot of foods, and, I did, fought a few foods, and I caught them, and that's nothing to be proud of. Back then, I was an arrogant son of a gun. I was an arrogant, and I thought I was the baddest dude doing massive push-ups and, working out and fighting all the time. I thought that was macho-ness. I thought that was masculinity, but it wasn't. That was just the wrong pride. And here, the Wakias, they have so much understanding and patience for us. He was like, because you think that's a warrior? I was like, hell yeah. It's not, because there are monsters and there are men. Any coward can kill the enemy. Any coward can kill the enemy. But it takes a warrior to create an ally, so peace will live on forever. And when I learned that from the spirits, I started practicing it. And boy, is that hard to practice. It's very hard. Because before I can challenge people, I have to take care of this enemy inside of me. I have to love the dark side of me just as much as I love the light side. And I think that's where people get it misconstrued. So people learn to love their light side so much that when you're sitting with one of my brothers, a warrior, and my warrior will go out of the way. My warriors, they'll give you the last $20 if you needed it. They'll give you the shirt off their back. We'll go out of your way to go fix your car, go pick you up. We'll run emergency sweat lodges. We'll stay up at night with you if you're having hardships. My warriors. But if you see how my warriors look, that one's all tattooed up, a little rugged, but the heart is there. So when I see other people that's been around these Lokotoes for a long time pray with my warriors, I see the judgment. And they don't like their dark side. And they're hiding something when people have judgment in the heart, they're hiding something. And that's really revealing. Because when people have judgment, that means they didn't fully heal. So when you learn your dark side, and you learn it just as much as the bright side, and you meet in between, you're not gonna have no judgment. So I'm teaching these to my warriors, not to remind them I sound like a broken record. There's a lot of things I could go on for days about what is a warrior. But now I'm back at to where I'm keeping them busy. We had camps. I don't really like being on Facebook. I don't got that much friends on Facebook or social. That's the only thing I got. I mean, I mess with YouTube heavy, but like I'm only on there for music, and that's it. I don't really mess with anything else, and I could care less for a phone. Honestly, I want an old like flip phone. So if I hang up on someone, slam it, it's gonna look more dramatic, and but that's just me though. I mean, honestly, I could run with a pager, man, but there's no more payphones, so it's like, yeah, but I'm a little bit old school, but so we're doing camping, and I post some of the pictures of the camping. We go fishing. We're replacing the negative with positive. I lost count how many times we went fishing, and we came back with a few, or we go hiking up in the mountains. Like in Colorado is our playground for us warriors, and it's really therapeutic for the warriors. And we have sweat lodges, and we have older warriors that's been around for years and years, and I tell the younger warriors, listen to the older warriors. They have a story to tell. Let's learn from where they have succeeded and where they have failed. So we continue doing the good, and we don't have to face the bad. So so we have a lot of projects from restoring this indigenous retreatment center. There's a bunch of cabins up there. We go camping there, and we have really big things planned ahead for this place. And the guy that's running the center, his name's Rick Garcia, and I'm just really thankful. He's a humble man, and he also been in the mix. He knows what the hood's about, and when we're there, we're all like family. Like we had a meeting, and we just felt like brothers. It was a real unity, a brotherhood between us. And we're from Crazy Horse. I learned from them, from Grandpa Buffalo Horn Chips to Crazy Horse. There's time when you need to be a man of war, and there's times when you need to be a man of peace. And it's like what they were talking about this, what Bruce Lee said. He said, I'd rather be a warrior in the garden instead of being a gardener in war. So we're learning how to live life in peace. We're learning to enjoy the moments. So we at this other land and getting the brothers ready for Humblecha, for Vision Quest, getting them ready. A lot of them are on parole too, so it's kind of hard because we got these camps and stuff. We got like some bros can't make it. Like, yeah, hey, fool, my PO didn't approve it, dog. Like, can't make it. I'm like, no, brother, we'll keep you in our prayers, dog. And they'll feel bummed out because they couldn't get approved, because they have class or they missed the class or they missed the UA or something. And so that's with our Warrior Society, bringing them into sweat lodges, and drum practices, and teach them old Sundance songs. And they really enjoy the sweat lodge. But the next one that we're doing, that's the upcoming event. I was trying to get this page set up, but we're still working on it because the design that we're going to upload with our website is still being made right now. The bro's still making it, and he's also running that landscaping company too as well. And he does a lot of tattoos. That guy's just doing all kinds of stuff too. He's one of my head warriors. In this case, if I'm not there, then he'll take over and make sure sweat lodges are being ran, the meetings are being conducted, and still pressing forward if I'm there or not. So, and we're just all busy doing all kinds of stuff. And so keeping these warriors in line is not in line, but to keep them busy, to replace it. And sometimes I have about like 20, 30 dudes with me. We were just joking about this a couple weeks ago, me and my sister. I had two biker clubs. I'm not gonna say their names, but they were there at a sweat lodge. One, they had patches, and the other one was retired. I guess I got three different biker clubs, the 1%ers that pray. And people were tripping out on that. I was tripping out because I had a North Sider and a South Sider when I started running sweat lodges. The bros, they had Su 13, Sir 13 tatted on them, and the other bro had a Norteño tattoo tatted on his stomach, and some other fool was a Crip, and the other bro, he's a Blood. I forgot what blood set he was from, but we wasn't there about hoods. We were there to pray with the Creator. And that's when we're like, we're part of the biggest gang there is, Tombashas. We're part of the biggest gang. That's the OGs, our Creator. And, just seeing that type of miracle happen says a lot. And it's other people look at it like, oh, like there's just a bunch of thugs, hooligans, just a bunch of punks. But no, it's something bigger than that, because if you can see the healing inside of the places that need it the most, that means we're on the right track. So it's like a wolf pack. Is how the brother puts it. The slowest and the weakest wolf in that pack shows how much strength we have as a pack. So, all these other people, they brag about, oh, I got a doctor, I got so I gotta shit, lawyers. I don't give a damn who you pray with, man. Where's the heart at? And I see where these people's hearts at, and I don't like it because they're fake to me. They're hella fake. You can't even pick up my own brother. So, I met a lot of these bros as, I got locked up or I hung out with some active homies, and I'm not a good person myself, like I have mistakes, gotta, I was this last year I was involved in 2 high-speed chases back to back, the second one was kind of funny because I ended up in the hospital, and the hospital called my mom, or the detective called my mom first, and then the hospital called my sister, and I was just, and it woke me up because I should have been dead by now with all the things I've done and the trauma I've been through. I should have been dead, but I feel like there's something bigger that needs to happen, and to bring everyone together. Because one day we gotta pray with those. I call them squares. I call them spiritual squares. When I say spiritual squares, like they got the shirt tucked in, they got this little punk choker on, and they're wearing a cowboy hat, we gotta one day we gotta pray with these fools, and you're gonna see thugs, just wearing a baggy shirt, creased up Dickies with some Cortezes, but we're all gonna be wearing our medallions. Our medallions are like our protection of reflection. Like my medallion here has mirrors in it to reflect negativity. So when people have negative thoughts, they're looking at themselves subconsciously in the mirror and they're talking about themselves. So, so I'm telling all the bros, wear mirrors. Get a medallion, wear mirrors. Don't worry about what people say. Yeah, of course we're gonna get judged. But this is a path that's don't gosh chose for us. So one day I see us meeting up. I don't know when, but I see all of us coming together. But right now, we gotta heal ourselves, heal our own family, and heal those deep wounds that's what making people fall and relapse. The people that are in this war right now, yeah, I call it the mental war. It's a mental warfare. Grandpa Crazy Horse and Grandpa Fred Fusco warned us about. And one day, the 7th generation are going to be in a warfare that you cannot see with the eyes. Now, warfare is here now, and that's addictions. So when you see womanizers, check the fool like, hey, fool, like, do you love your mom? I don't never knew my mom. Do you have a daughter? I don't have a daughter. What about a grandma? Yeah, I got a grandma. I love her dead. What would you do if your grandpa treated your grandma like that, my homie? And the way you train women, all fool, I socked that fool, and you suck yourself up, my homie. Like, and we check bros like that, like you should jack yourself up, fool, because if a fool say you have a daughter one day, you're gonna jack yourself up, fool. Says, no, as well check yourself now, and fools don't like that. So we got to bring back that honor, that old warrior code. Is that we got to respect all women as if they're our mothers, our daughters, our sisters, and our grandmothers in that same essence. And go all the way and protect them at all costs. At all costs. And going back to my vision and how I became Lone Wolf, this is, I want to close this out with this. The meaning of my Woy Hombre, of my vision. And it took me a lot of years. So I had this vision when I was 15 years old, 16. I'm 32 now. And it finally hit me of what to do. And I want everyone to remember this, whoever's out there, whoever's listening. That vision with the moon crying and everything went blood red. there's more to it. I'm gonna learn eventually down the road. Just stay tuned in me on my life, and you'll see how things unfold. But the interpretation, one of the interpretations is the moment when our spiritual leaders and our men that are walking this red road, the moment when they see these men treating our women sacred, and these medicine men need to stop manipulating the women in ceremonies. The men that sun dance and use the chanupa, they need to stop manipulating their wives to control them, to scare them. They need to stop that nonsense. When the world see us men in our way of life upholding our women sacred and powerful as women are, the world will follow. So we may have to check medicine men. And I did. And I'm not scared to lose family again, to check another medicine man, to put that fool in check. Because to me, he's just a human being. My oath is with the Creator. I took an oath when I was 13 years old through the thunder beings that I protect the women and children and the elders at all costs. My oath is to Tunkashla, so those that protect themselves. They don't have a voice, we'll give you your voice. If you can't speak, we will speak on your behalf. But before we can start checking them and the chiefs and the men that are manipulating and spiritually abusing, because there's, when I say spiritually intelligent, women need to know there are medicine men out there that's going to spiritually abuse you by sexually assaulting you in ceremonies. Don't be naive. And how we check these spiritual men is we start off by checking ourselves. That's how we start, is by checking ourselves. I check myself. When there's a woman asking for help, I send it to my sister. No, go ask my sister, because at this time in life, these medicine men nowadays have spiritual abuse women so much that I'm scared I'm going to get accused from the women. I don't want to deal with it. Go pray with my sister. She will help you. A woman needs to help a woman. Man needs to help man. But when we come together, it's beautiful. And that's what I'm going to conclude today's.